What's up everyone, welcome to Ashley Talks Movies. Today's video is a review of Love Hurts. It's a new action comedy from Jonathan Eusebio, who is making his feature film directorial debut. Eusebio previously worked as a fight and stunt coordinator on a number of movies, including the John Wick franchise. Quan stars as Marvin Gable, a mild-mannered realtor who loves selling new homes to potential buyers in the Milwaukee suburbs, but his past catches up to him when Rose, played by Ariana DeBose, a former associate he left for dead, resurfaces. To make matters worse, Marvin's crime lord brother Knuckles, played by Daniel Wu, is hunting him down, which forces him to confront a life he thought he left behind. Before I jump into the review, do me a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. That way you don't miss any of the videos I post here on the channel.
Every day is an opportunity to change your life. Good morning! Do you think I just woke up one day as a top-selling realtor?
You won the Regional Realtor of the Year award. Congratulations.
No, I had to work for it and stop becoming who I wanted to be.
Aww.
Hiding ain't living. Not feeling great all of a sudden.
Now, I wouldn't say that Love Hurts is a terrible movie. There were some parts of it that I did like, but overall the movie isn't great either. It comes from the same studio behind Violent Night, Nobody, and Bullet Train, so it's heavy on the action. Very violent, a lot of over-the-top, in-your-face, bloody violence, and there's some really solid fight scenes that have plenty of action, they're well choreographed, and there's some really interesting camera work in those action sequences. And you can really see the influences from movies like John Wick, or even, some of Jackie Chan's movies. And then there are a lot of action scenes in this movie that are pretty lackluster, sort of overly choreographed, the actors come off as stiff, and there's some really choppy editing in those action scenes. Now, there is some humor here, not as much as I was expecting from a movie that's also billed as a comedy, but there are some pretty funny laugh out loud moments, and the few moments that we do get typically occur during the fight scene. Now, these fight scenes are very chaotic, there's a lot going on, his characters are throwing punches and kicks, and it's very frenzied, and there's also a lot of slapstick comedy happening in those scenes that I think work really, really well. But of the humor that doesn't work, that doesn't land, the best way I can describe it is that it was awkward. It kind of reminded me of when you're watching someone give a speech and they deliver a line and then they pause after that line because they're expecting people to clap after they deliver that line and no one claps. That's how it felt with some of the humor here, where they set up the joke is delivered, and then there's this gap between when the actors start speaking again or when they set up, for the next part of the scene, where they're expecting that moment to be when the audience erupts in laughter, and it doesn't happen because it's not funny. So it just leaves this lingering awkwardness there. And it happened quite a few times. Quan is so much better than the movie that he is in. He gives a very charming performance as Marvin, and you really like his character. You're invested in what happens to him. You care about him. And I think he does a fantastic job in the fight sequences as well. This is a very physical role too, and he's capable of doing that. And that really shouldn't be a surprise, because if you've seen him in Everything Everywhere All at Once, you know that he's capable of doing roles like this. And it's on full display here in this movie with the physicality that's involved here. And he does a fantastic job, but it's not enough to save this movie. Then you have Ariana DeBose, who I think is good here. She's playing Rose, a woman who seeks out Marvin to help her get her life back. And I think she plays the role, fairly well with what she's given, and she's not given much. And I would say there's a bit of a problem here because she and Quan have absolutely no chemistry whatsoever. And that's a problem. This movie isn't just an action comedy. There's so much emphasis in the story on love and romance. You see all these imageries of hearts. One of the first scenes we see with Marvin is he's baking cookies, heart-shaped cookies. This story takes place around Valentine's Day. So there's this huge emphasis on romance and love. And the fact that the two leads have zero chemistry is troubling. And it just leads to some really awkward moments, interactions between them. And there's one scene in particular it was just very, very awkward. And I think they should just cut it because it was painful to watch because they just have no chemistry. Now, the supporting cast includes Tipton as Marvin's assistant Ashley, who has a funny side story with one of the hitmen sent to get Marvin. Astin is Marvin's supportive boss Cliff. Mustafa Shakir is the Raven, a hitman that likes to use knives and darts to take out his enemies, and Eriksen and Marshawn Lynch play Otis and King, two hitmen who were also sent after Marvin. And I think they all do a pretty good job here. They aren't given much to do, and their characters are mostly just stock characters. Love Hurts got off to a promising start, but then by the second half, this movie really starts to drag. It gets very sluggish, it's weighed down by too much exposition, and the story gets more and more convoluted as it goes on. And it's really a shame because this movie is only 83 minutes long, so it's really short when you compare it to the runtimes of all the other movies that typically come out nowadays. And yet, it feels so much longer than it is. I think for me, this movie was just disappointing. I wanted to like it more than I did. The teasers, the trailers all made this look very interesting, and there's some potential here with this story, a lot of potential with this story. And it had a chance to do something really different and interesting, but it doesn't really know what to do with those characters. It doesn't really know what to do with that story. And so ultimately, it was a letdown. However, it was nice to see Quan in a lead role, and I think he did an amazing job. So at least in that aspect, he is a standout here, and I think, he deserves a lot of praise for really sort of holding this movie up, even if his performance just wasn't enough to save it. So those are my thoughts on Love Hurts. Do you plan on seeing the movie? If so, let me know in the comments. While you're here, like and subscribe, and stick around for more videos like this.